your name? Dwayne. Hello, Dwayne. I'm seeing you often enough. I need to know your name.
She will ignore that. She will ignore it. But Miss England, I heard her person always had a hair for 5 weeks. I spent it 5 weeks ago, but she never looked at it. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Dwayne, I see a whole lot of you. I see a whole lot of that.
Can you hear us, Miss Donna? Can anybody hear? Can anybody hear us?
I can hear you. You're fine.
All right, thank you.
Okay, it's time to get started. Let's call the meeting to order. If everyone would please stand for prayer and stand for the pledge of allegiance. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the many blessings. Lord, we thank you once again for giving us an opportunity to come together as council. We pray that you give us the knowledge and wisdom it takes to move our community in the right direction. We pray for the sickness worldwide, and especially the ones that we know. We pray that you restore them back to their much life health, Lord, for be thy will. We pray for our country, especially the men and women that serve our country in uniform, serve our uniform, so that you bring them back home safe and sound, for be thy will. Forgive us of our sins, in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Chief Dow, okay, Levi, lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
Here.
Alderman Coleman,
Here.
Alderman Dale,
Present.
Alderman Langford, Alderman Speck,
Present.
Vice Mayor Dotson,
Present.
Alderman
All present, but Alderman Langford, need a motion to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. Motion made by Alderman Rex Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Ken Dotson. All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, motion pass. Under that, we have additions or deletions. I do have a couple of additions. I'm requesting item number 12 to be the TML resolution that I sent out late to be number 12, and then the item number 13 be amendment to the hotel motel tax.
Motion separately or?
Yes, motion for the TML resolution, please.
Motion approved.
Okay, motion by Vice Mayor Kim Dotson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Coleman. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Add that to your agenda to be item number 12, that'd be the TML resolution. Okay, also the item requesting item number 13 to be amendment to the hotel motel tax.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Kelly Coleman, second by Alderman Rex Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, motion pass. So we have those two items, that'll be item number 13, the amendment for the hotel motel tax. Okay, we have nothing under the old business, so we will go straight into item number 1 under new business. Mr. Ray Evans, downtown revitalization.
Good afternoon, good evening. Not much to report. We're still mostly in a waiting mode with PDOT and on our multimodal access grant for the sidewalk work down East Main and East Broad. We did hear from our consultants last week that they believe that they have now received and responded to the final comment on the construction plans. And if that be the case, hopefully this spring we'll move forward with construction on that project. The Courthouse Square Transportation Alternatives Program grant is in the environmental stage of development, so that will probably take another month or two, and those documents will be submitted to TDOT before the actual design can get started, the final design can get started on that. I think we have a really good plan. The consultant has listened to us, and I think we've been very respectful of amenities that are already there, and we'll end up a year or so from now with probably the finest courthouse grounds of any rural courthouse in Tennessee. I think you're aware that late last year we submitted an Appalachian Regional Commission grant for improvements to South Church Street. Again, we're in waiting mode there. We'll be notified in early spring whether or not we will be invited for a full application. And almost all the time, not all the time, but almost all the time, if you're invited for a full application, that means that you're going to get the project. So that will be the something to look forward to. That's all I have, unless there's questions from you all.
Any questions for Mr. Evans? Thank you for the report, Ray. Ms. Cantor, do you have something to report to the chamber?
I wanted to let y'all know about an economic development course that we're going to be doing at the chamber. You've probably already seen this in your email, maybe even got something in the mail today, but I wanted to personally invite each of you to this economic development course. It is Thursday, February 17th, from 5:30 to 7:30. We have our partners at TVA coming to give us this 2-hour class on best practices in economic development, and it is definitely going to be a great course for all of our community leaders. Let me give you guys these invitations. And if y'all don't mind, just RSVP to me before February the 11th this week to let me know so we can prepare for food. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the Oak Street Crosswalks. So today we met with our engineers, Barge Design, along with Livingston Regional Hospital CEO, Mr. Tim McGill, about the crosswalks on Oak Street and First Street, and we ran into some drainage issues. So that project is going to be put on hold for a little while until we can get some hard numbers on what it's going to cost to properly drain all the water from Oak Street. So we'll probably be back on the March agenda.
I have a question about that.
Okay?
As near as I can make out from this aerial photo,
That's right.
and comparing that to Mr. McGill's request letter of several weeks ago, I'm not sure this is labeled correctly. The last crosswalk number 3 and 4 are not at the locations that were, did you discuss that today?
We did discuss that today.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be correct.
Secondly, to that, in looking at this bid, this is for 4 sidewalks that at least 2 of those, if not 3, are currently existing. And basically, they want $5,500 per existing crosswalk to submit a design plan and make sure it's in compliance with ADA and TDOT and MUTCO and PROAG and all these other things. Those are published online. I mean, anybody can look at those and see what those requirements are. I just think that's an exceptionally high fee for something that is available online. Those sidewalks or those crosswalks that are existing. I would just ask the other members of the council to look at this and see if $22,000 for the design of these sidewalks and plans is not something where we should be able to save a lot of money on that. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you check? My mic's dead, but I'll certainly look into it. So the price is $22,000 for the total price. But there was bigger issues than that. Of course, Livingston Regional wanted to partner with the city to split this bill.
Well, was that for the cost of the crosswalks or just
Yes.
for the cost of the design?
For the total project. So that's what they wanted to do. But like I said, after a meeting today, that $22,000 is not $22,000. The buttons are messed up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in response to that, have we already allocated this $22,000 to Barge?
No.
Okay, but they're doing work. I mean, they're
That's right.
consulting and so forth.
That's right.
And it did mention in their contract specifically an exclusion was any drainage issues.
That's
So
right.
that's gonna be in addition to this.
That's correct.
Well, again, I think $22,000 for just the plans is a lot higher than it needs to be.
And you're probably accurate about getting on the, online and seeing those things. The reason that we got them involved is simply, So, kind of sheds a little less liability on the city, but we're still a long ways from where we need to be.
Well, I looked at it before I came in about 30 minutes, and I don't charge 22,000 an hour, so I think it could be a lot less than that.
Okay.
Well, I think it's important, it's important to clarify that that has not been, we have not issued a contract
No.
large for any of that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Not a big. Did you say something?
They're back now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right, yeah, we have not,
Yeah, good job, everybody.
we have not issued a contract for any of that. It is for discussion, and like I said, we met today, but we're, because of some grant issues, we're just nowhere near ready at this time. So, with Mr. McGill, and Lamarge will be here at the next meeting in the event that it's on there. And the reason it is on there is simply because it'll be offering Oak Street, and that's where,
Gotcha.
the board would come in there. So, yeah, we'll look at that, possibly next month. Item number 3, so there.
I have a question on this.
Yes.
I know that recently the Oak County School System installed an identical crosswalk that is being proposed here over by the central office on, what is that street?
Zachary.
On Zachary. Might be wise to check with the school director and see if they asked a consultant to design that, and then also ask them what they had to spend to get that done.
Yeah.
Did they come to the city for that?
So the
This
city.
is a city street.
That's right. So that crosswalk was done by the City of Livingston. We got a grant called Safe Routes to School Grant. So, Rebecca, who was the engineer? Neil Schaefer? Neil Schaefer was the
So
engineer.
we could go back and look at what they charged us to design it, and then what our cost was to build it, right?
Yeah, that'd be.
That'd be great to have
Yeah,
in March.
absolutely.
That's been a few years ago. I mean,
Right,
Well, I'm sure we keep it records.
right, yeah, sure. Safe Routes to School Grant is what it was. Okay, item number 3, Livingston Airport, Miss Edna Winningham or Mandy.
Hey, Jason didn't get to be here, but he's a professor at Tech, so he wasn't able to come because of class, so I'm gonna do my best to get all
Right.
that.
Mandy, talk into the mic too, please. Thank you,
Right.
thank you.
The first item to note is that the former Fitzgerald hangar is now on a 3-year lease that began on January to Peter Schiff Enterprises at $2,000 a month. Mr. Schiff rented the hangar for a 3-month term period prior to this lease. And he and Jason worked out a longer lease that is good through, 2024. Mr. Schiff does pay all of the utilities in addition to the monthly rent. His business installs aircraft environmental systems and focuses on King Air aircraft and twin commanders. His hangar has increased like the airport business traffic as well as fuel sales. The second item is to thank Christian Mansell and those who helped construct the shed on the north side of the main hangar to store like the aircraft tug, the side-by-side, and other airport equipment. Christian is also hoping to install better lighting at the airport. Our mayor is researching a digital sign for the south-facing side, and the north side will be just a traditional sign. Wayne Peak has also provided much-needed help clearing nuisance trees from the airport property, as well as like safety concerns from the FAA and the State Aeronautics Division. He's also working, as time allows, to clear the trees that obstruct the runway, like the visibility. That way it cuts down on hopefully any kind of accidents or anything that happens there. The third thing is the fencing project. It's approximately a half-mile of fences to be replaced on the east side of the runway. About 1,000 feet of the fencing is to replace from the Johnny Half hangar area over to Bill White Lane. All All the fencing to be replaced is the last of the welded wire and barbed wire that's surrounding the airport. This fencing project is a state priority for the security concerns and due to the wildlife access control. The current task on the multi-year project are that the boundary survey has been recently completed and appraisals are underway for the multi-landowners who are involved. We are currently to have an amendment created for that work at the moment as the Cultural Resource Division of the State of Tennessee has requested. Alright, the fourth item is the airport layout plan. Every public airport must have an airport layout plan that shows the current airport configuration in the surrounding areas in regards to airplane arrivals and departures. Both the FAA and the state require a current ALP to provide funding. That project is nearly at 90% completion. When our engineering firm Barge will meet with our airport chairman, which is Jason, in March to finalize the airport plan, the layout plan. Alright, the fifth item is our airport cruise-in. It will be on June the 4th, weather permitting. And it's gonna be laid out similar to how it's been laid out, you know, like with live band, food, cars, airplanes. It is all, you know, set up to be free for the community, except for the airplanes and the helicopter rides. Alright, and the sixth item is to make you aware of the next proposed project at the airport after the fencing and the airport layout plan is to relocate the fuel farm. Right now, the fuel farm is sitting on a slight slope, so we're hoping to relocate it in between the old hangars and the Peter ship hangar, which will allow for planes to pull up there and it be level, so that it'll make it a lot easier on them. And that's it.
Thank you, Mandy. Does anybody have any questions for Mandy?
I'm gonna fill up there.
Yeah.
One of these.
Thank you. Any questions for Mandy? Okay, no questions. We'll go to item number 4, flood mitigation. Miss Donna Holden, I think that we have on the big screen, maybe. Donna, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. Just wanted to get a update on where we was at, where hazardous mitigation grant that we've applied for.
Okay, as we spoke the other day, unfortunately at this time, we are going to have to withdraw this project. FEMA requires, FEMA regulation, it is required that the properties score at least a 1 or greater on their benefit cost analysis. Even though the properties are under the dollar amount that they use for pre-award to pre-select, they're not located in a special flood hazard area. And because of that, we have to do a BCA. I have tried to run one, Marcy has tried to run one, and I've even asked one of my young ladies in the office, she tried, and none of us could get the score that we need to get. So it is my recommendation that we withdraw this project and we look at pursuing another option, what we can do to rectify, correct the flooding problem. Do you want to look at a flood control, detention pond, maybe increasing the pipes or something?
Donna, I just have a question, exactly, you know, we've been getting these updates now for quite some time. So what has been the contributing factor for your recommendation to be the withdrawal of the application? Seems like we're real late in the game here.
At this time, when you look at each of the damages, so each property owner has to list their damage history, and they have to have supporting documentation, and it's just not there. There's not enough damage history, and there's no supporting documentation. And I've got my supervisor, Mr. Ward, the program manager, he is on this panel with us.
Okay.
I I can give my 2 cents. Yeah, Donna's right, sir. What's a little unusual about this, and again, we do these kind of projects all the time. This is the most common mitigation project we do across the state. Many of these type of properties are in a special flood hazard area, flood zone that's in that area. That's pretty common. They don't have to be, but that's pretty common. And the rule is to use this alternate methodology where you can just use the cost or less. It has to be in a special flood hazard area. And I think some of the properties are, I believe, Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, some are, some aren't. So, not really. Well, again, most of our projects have to do what they call a benefit cost analysis. The benefits have to outweigh the cost. And there's a formula to do that, but it's based on damage frequency assessment. It's a damage history. And you just have to show that it's, the benefits outweigh that cost. And we do that with every project, it's this too. So unless they can come up with other damages or something they can show, which I'm assuming, Donna, Marcy, you guys have tried that already, I'm assuming, but, and of course, the other thing we looked at, I talked to Amy Miller, our NFIP coordinator with the state. She had asked about, again, being that it's not in a special flood hazard area, and you guys may have already done this, but, what's causing, and again, from a mitigation standpoint, what's causing the flooding? What can you mitigate? So that's what Donna's referring to. Maybe we need to look at other things, or if there's some engineering that needs to be done, some hydrology, maybe we can do that as a project, but that'll be up to you guys.
I have a question. This is Alderman Coleman. So obviously this is new information for me, and I'm assuming for all the other aldermen. It's very frustrating that we've been down this road now for almost, 2.5 years? 3 years. 3 years. And these residents have been put through this process of completing these documents, waiting, coming to meetings, waiting, coming to meetings, being told the next hazard, the next flood, the next tornado, we're gonna get you in on that. Why did it take so long for us to realize that we didn't have sufficient damages to qualify under the FEMA program when these assessments, I guess, of, the losses should have been realized 2+ years ago? Well, help us understand why it took so long to figure this out.
It's just it's the nature of the beast, trying to work everything and log everything in and going through the stuff, pulling the material together, reviewing. I can only go by what's in there, and then I have to also have supporting documentation. So if you say you've had $12,000 worth of damage, I need to have $12,000 worth of receipts to give to FEMA to make copies of and to submit with this or something. Had they had flood insurance, we could pull it from there.
Okay, so
Information from the data warehouse. But since they don't, all we can go on is just what's listed on the property worksheets and go from there.
Okay, Donna, one follow-up to that. Were our affected residents told when they submitted their application that they needed to submit copies of receipts for equal to every dollar that they're claiming in losses? Were they told that? And then I guess this might be for all of us on the conference call here, but did anyone submit those receipts? Did any application that you received have receipts attached showing, itemizing their damages? And if not, why did we not go back to these people and ask for it?
Marcy, wouldn't we have, what's on the property worksheet as far as damage, what receipts? Did we get any?
No, they told me how much they spent on what the damages were.
Okay, did anyone go back?
If they can pull it together, if they can pull enough, we may have to pull and switch to a different disaster. But at this point, I don't have a say in this.
Okay.
This is regulations, this is requirement. So
Donna,
if the homeowners has it and they can get it to us, I'm willing to work with Marcy, do what we can to get this to work. We just may not be able to do it under this pot, but I have plenty others that we can go to. And it's just a shift, it's just a change in the number in the system and moving to a different pot of money to work with. But as it stands now, with this pot of money, so that everything can get approved, it's just not gonna work under this. Doug, am I wrong?
Okay, may I interrupt one more question? Marcy,
Okay.
I know you were basically a liaison between the city, Rebecca, and, Tennessee FEMA. Are you aware that when an application is received, that there are supposed to be accompanying receipts? And if you were aware of that, why did we not go back to these residents and request it?
I believe we did go back and request it.
No.
Okay, every resident here, there's multiple residents represented, they're all saying no, they were not requested to provide that.
Okay. This is totally your call. If you want to withdraw, we can withdraw. If they can get the documentation, if they have it, we're willing to work together to see if we can move forward. May not be under this pot of money, we just have to switch resources.
Okay, what are the other
Do
options?
they have it? Can they put it,
What
does
are-
anyone there have that information? If they do, it's just a matter of making copies and getting it to us. Getting it to Marcy so we can link it to the right property.
Okay, I think they were asked to submit photographs and they did that, but never asked to
Photograph,
submit,
yes.
never asked to submit specific
FEMA's
receipts.
gonna want to, they're gonna wanna see some actual details, because they just can't take it by faith. And like I said, had they had flood insurance, we could go we could go into the system and pull to see what claims were made. But since we can't do that, then we have to go by the dollar amount that's listed, and then let's see supporting it.
I think if they had flood insurance, they probably wouldn't be at this meeting. But what other pots of money, other what programs are options out there? If we withdraw, it sounds like you are saying we don't really have any option. If we don't qualify, so we don't have any option to withdraw, we must withdraw. What's our next option? What are other programs that, and is it gonna take another 3 years with a different program?
That's what, the recommendation that we have.
Yeah. Well, it's because, and what it does, guys, it has to do with disasters. We have disasters are tied to grants, and we have time periods that we have to submit applications. So if data is not there, FEMA, will take what they got and they move on. The bad news, bad news is disaster. Good news is grants for us, though. So we've had no shortage of those in Tennessee. We've had several. So we have, in fact, we're working 2 right now. We've got 2 more coming up. Donna, we're probably in about 3 or 4 months. So no, sir, there's no shortage of grant availability. The key thing is just being able to get that.
John,
adequate BCA,
John,
getting that.
excuse me, but we applied for a grant.
Mhm.
And now 3 years later, you're telling us we don't qualify. And
Yes.
you're pontificating with me, excuse me, but you're talking about additional disasters, additional grants. Can you be specific and tell me
So
what
here's what we're gonna
grants
go
are
into.
available?
If we switch to a different pot of money, that allows the homeowners to be able to give us, do they have some damages that may have occurred in some of the recent events, that we could use those numbers. It allows us to readjust and maybe do we have some more events? Have they had water in their homes? Have they experienced any other additional damage since then?
Okay,
If we
Donna.
stick with this pot, we can't do anything with it.
Okay, Donna, so let's say we withdraw. We go back to our residents and we ask them to resubmit with accompanying receipts, which if it were me, I would have trouble coming up with receipts. But if they resubmitted hypothetically with receipts, then could we be looking at another 2 to 3 years down the road before we will be told whether we do or do not qualify?
No,
She said yes or no.
I said No, you won't.
How long will it, possibly
Hopefully,
take?
we will be able to tell, Doug, what do you think, 6 months, 6 to 8 months maybe?
Something in that range, just everybody understand though, that, again, we administer these federal grants. We have a piece of this puzzle. This goes over to the federal side, and we have no control over how long it takes for them to approve something. Now, it shouldn't take, yeah, this has been a long time, it shouldn't take, 6 months, something like that should be, but that's a guesstimate on our end.
Yeah.
We have no, we have no way of knowing for sure, and whether it's a plan update, or a safe room in a school, or an acquisition, we have lots of different projects, so it just varies.
Well, Doug, with all due respect, I realize that you administer and you're the facilitator basically between the state and FEMA, the federal government. And you're trying to help disaster areas all across the state, and I respect that. I think it's pitiful that we're sitting here 3 years later to learn that we don't qualify because our residents didn't submit receipts to document and to quantify, to quantify the value of what that they've put on their sheets. It shouldn't take us 3 years to figure that out. Is your department planning to issue a formal written report to this government body explaining this situation?
We certainly can send you a letter explaining what's happened if we haven't already, yes, we can.
Absolutely, I would appreciate that, thank you.
We can do that, we can do that.
Do we want to hear the other options?
Well, she told us, we just reapply with people now have to submit receipts and submit it and sit and wait.
And also, can I throw one other thing in there, gentlemen, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, it's also because they've already done the application, putting a new one in, Donna, right, should be much easier. A lot of this information you've already got, so it really is just getting these missing pieces and this new time frame. It should be much smoother.
You have a question?
So do we need to formally go ahead and withdraw this application and then start on the other grant officially approved tonight, to start on the other grant? And what is the name of the other grant? Is it still under hazardous mitigation grant, or what is the name of this, Mr. Warden?
And Donna, you're muted, I can see Donna's trying to. Yes, sir, you're right, it's just a different, grant number, it's the same.
Yeah,
same grant.
I'm sorry, it's just, we have, like Mr. Morton said, we do have disaster numbers, plenty of disasters, so it's just moving to another one. So you let me know what you wanna do, and we'll do what we can to make it work for you and help you get it through. Yes, it doesn't have to start completely from scratch, because we do have a lot of that information in.
Okay.
What I'm looking for is some additional damage history.
Okay, so what, just for the record, what is the name of the grant that we?
It's a hazard mitigation grant program.
Okay, so it's the same thing that we just done, just a different cycle of money or different pool of money,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Can she specify what other information she wants?
So if you had, let's say you had water in your home and you had Surf Pro come in and clean that up, there would be the invoice from that and where you made your payment. If you had to take out drywall, that's what we're needing, that type of stuff.
But this can be from the event that happened several years ago. You keep saying about an additional disaster.
It could be 3 years, they go back 3 years of history. So since this event, since we started this, I know the state's had some events. So were you all affected by anything that started, that occurred since then?
Okay, Ms. Donna,
Yes.
so exactly, I guess, do you wanna probably talk to Marcy, go through Marcy, and then Marcy will contact us on exactly what you need you know, I join Alderman, the entire board here that thinks that this has truly been drug along way too long to kind of figure out that we're here now, okay?
And I
Because I feel,
remind that we have to work in, I think I told this when this first came about. FEMA works in these disasters and reviewing kind of in numeric order of the disasters. Anything that happens in any of the states that they are responsible for, they have to work that too. So they're balancing and trying to review in a timely manner.
right.
And we're all caught up in trying to get this done.
Yeah, so, one of the things that I wanna make sure that we're keyed in on, along with Ms. Ackerman, from UCDD, is exactly what you need, from the city. And what the city needs to work closely with the property owners to obtain. I think a list of those things up front, would be really, really good, and that way we're all on the same page, because it just looks like that there's been some things that has fell through the crack here. I mean, we're going on nearly 3 years, I guess, and now we're coming back, saying that we need receipts, and, you know, I don't want to sound redundant, what, Alderman Coleman has says, but so we don't go through this again. I just think that an itemized, detailed list of what the city needs and what the property owners would be very, very good. And yeah, thank you. So another thing is too, I know that we've said that 6 months, I think Mr. Warden said 6 months, we should know something, and then, we said, you know, but we can't control the federal government. I get it. So realistically, I want to know a real number. Is 6 months a real number, or is it 6 months for TEMA to do and then turn over to FEMA and then another 6 months? And I'm sorry that I'm putting you on the spot, but I want to be real with these folks.
To be honest, I have had projects take up to 2 years. The goal is for us to get everything reviewed on our side, and when we turn it over to FEMA, we want to say it is good to go, everything is there, you can approve this. So, yes, we're shooting for an 8-month goal, but we have no control over FEMA.
Right.
We just don't.
Okay.
Like I said, if something happens, if we hit hurricane season and the East Coast is hit,
Yeah, Donna's making a good point, everyone. I do, just to let you know, I do a post-project survey I send out to people. One of the questions I never put on it is, does the process take too long? We all know it takes way too long, but Donna's right, if they have personnel, if they get employed for something, that delays everything, so. And let me say this, guys, y'all aren't the only ones delayed, believe me. Donna, how many other people are waiting for projects? You're not the only ones. And I'm sorry, it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately.
Well, and with all due respect, again, we've been very patient. Our community's been very patient. And to be told, and we realize that the federal government moves slowly. That's not a new phenomenon to us. What is very disappointing is to learn after all these years that we didn't submit friggin' receipts. Come on, guys, let's tighten up. Y'all have looked at our application for months. Nobody noticed there were no receipts. That's not waiting on the federal government. That's not a disaster in North Carolina. I mean, you keep telling us all this stuff about other disasters and we can get in with another disaster. This is an administrative failure because somebody didn't recognize that there were no receipts. That is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
And every time we hear it, they say it's all in line, we're just waiting on the reply.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so do you all need a Doug Mr. Warden, do you need an official motion to withdraw the current hazardous mitigation grant and apply for another hazardous mitigation grant? What do you need from this governing body tonight?
We just need, sir, a letter from the city saying that you want to withdraw this project for this grant. And you can put on the letter that you intend to resubmit it, and that's fine. And we'll go through the motions, Don will, and work with whoever to get the pieces that we need. And like I said, you guys have done a lot of the other part anyway, so it should be much smoother this time.
Right. Okay.
Mayor, I don't think we need to submit a letter
Okay.
to them until they submit a letter to us formally explaining the situation in writing.
Okay. We can do that. I think, Mr. Warden, was you gonna email or US mail us a letter, please? And then after that, we will resubmit.
Sure.
Is that right? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
would it be possible for us to see the written communications back and forth
Oh, yes, sir.
showing where the residents were asked to put receipts?
Oh,
And if not, I think that's an important factor.
yeah, I mean, we have it one time. So,
UCHRA was our liaison,
you see,
UCDD. And she said they don't even know that you're supposed to put receipts. Hello? So no, they wouldn't have asked the residents if our liaison didn't know you're supposed to. That's an administrative issue, not a federal government slowdown.
Doc, I'll get you what you need. I know this is a process that, and Rebecca has worked on it pretty much daily, along with Ms. Ackerman and Ms. Hogan, and the communications probably, there's a lot.
Well, with all due respect to the federal government, they don't always move slow.
That's right.
The IRS has got lightning speed when it comes to them letting me know they're wanting my taxes every quarter.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It's never made it to the feds.
Is there any other discussion?
It was submitted to the feds, it was pushed back to me.
Okay, thank you, Donna. That's not the way I interpreted your first comment when you said that we didn't pass because there wasn't sufficient
It didn't pass their
documentation.
review, that was how it came back to me.
It came back to you from the feds with that note.
Yes.
Okay. My apologies.
Okay, is there any other discussion? For Tina? Okay,
But I think we owe our residents an apology, our constituents here, on behalf of this board. I think you hopefully can see our level of frustration, but, I'm deeply sorry that all of y'all have to go through this. I don't know what else I can do, but I am sorry.
We thought it was being done correctly as well.
all of us did.
If you play back what she said, the last time we saw her on film, she said exactly opposite of what she's saying tonight.
Absolutely.
She said if you get whatever you call it, to go and look at the property, they are going to give you what it was assessed at before. No receipts was ever mentioned, anytime. I sent a whole package of pictures before, after. This is not right.
Rebecca, were you aware, would anybody ever make you aware that receipts were requested?
Yes, sir.
They talked about, and Donna, you tell me if I'm saying this wrong, the benefit cost analysis. Okay, they didn't require receipts because we didn't have to fill out the benefit cost analysis to start with. If it was 275, assessed at 276 or below, a benefit cost analysis was not needed. I guess it was sent to FEMA, and the technical part of FEMA sent it back and said, yes, you do have to do the benefits cost analysis because it's not they didn't have flood insurance, or there was not evidence of having 3 disasters. And so we didn't have enough information to even fill out the benefits cost analysis. But before February 1st, we didn't need that, so we didn't need the receipts. Does that make sense? Is that correct, Donna?
Yes, because it's not in a special flood hazard area.
That's where, and everybody, just to make sure you understand that, we do lots of mitigation projects. A general rule of thumb is all mitigation projects have to have a benefit cost analysis. You have to show the benefits.
Well, she just doesn't tell
That's
you what they do.
But they do have an alternate methodology. If your properties are in a special flood hazard area, you can do this, if it's less than a certain amount of money, you're good to go. Well, I think apparently, I guess a few of the properties are, not all of them are, not sure, but they're not.
And we relook at the maps.
But the bottom line is, FEMA's looked at it, they're not in a special flood hazard area, so you have to do a benefit cost analysis. Okay, but to do a BCA, that's where you have to show the previous, some type of, damages. You gotta show the damages. And again, it's a formula that you do, but, that's where the problem is, apparently.
So are you saying that 60?
Although we have the dollar amounts listed there, which were all listed on the damage history, FEMA is wanting, their tech review people want more. They want to see, well, where did you get that dollar amount from? Can you support it? I was told anybody, you can write down anything, so show me where you got it from. That's what I was told to do.
Okay, Vice Mayor Dodson has a question.
Is it this is my Vice Mayor Dodson, is my understanding from what Rebecca just said that on February 1st is when we were discovered that we needed to do this benefits cost analysis, which was 6 days ago, but tonight we're being told that we need to withdraw from this because we don't have time to do that? And why can't we stay with the program we're in? Are we just SOL on that, and is that one gone?
We can keep trying. If you got, that's what I said. If somebody has that material, get it to me, get it to Marcy, and Marcy and I will work together on this. We can keep trying to get it.
So if we get you that and stay with the one we're at, that's one direction, that's one option. The second option is to withdraw and reapply. If we reapply, we will have to go through the benefits cost analysis, so they're gonna have to come up with those things, so why start over if, I'm just trying to figure out which option is our best.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, and to reapply, we're just saying it would be really, since we have the application in-house, it would be me sending the mayor the pages that need to be signed. Not filling the whole thing out again. Changing the dates on that, a lot of that stuff in there is still good, but that would give you a little more time to give me some damage history, some additional stuff. I do believe I had said something about going to the library, pulling flood history in that area. This can't, the one photo that had where all that water was heavy, can't be the only time that that's happened. So give me some good history of those events. That way we can use that.
What I'm saying is, should we stay with what we're at then? Are we not a little bit ahead of the game, even though you're telling us we don't qualify, but we still can? Am I hearing you correctly in that?
Doug, what do you want to do? Just, we can work it?
I think this is what it is, sir, this is getting into the, what they call RFIs, request for information from FEMA. FEMA has requested that information and they do have a time limit, so, yeah, obviously it'll be smoother. If you can get that information in right now, stay where you are, we can forward it. It's just, it's not something we can wait another month or two on.
Can you tell me what that time limit is that they're asking for that?
Do you have receipts?
For what?
What she's talking about. Repairs.
And we can't even get.
Can you tell me what that time limit is for those RFIs?
No,
No, we don't know.
14 days.
It's short, I would say 14 days.
This is a 3-ring circus.
I'll get a letter as
When did we get put in the flood zone?
We're not even in the flood zone. Farm Bureau refuses to give us
Okay,
flood
so
insurance.
if the 14 days is
Get back and run.
too fast for the citizens, but way too slow for the federal government apparently. But, so if that's the case, then we're back to the other option of withdrawing this one and reapplying
That's what
to
we do.
give them time to gather these RFIs.
Yes.
Is that when we have to withdraw, because we can't possibly
Yeah,
get it?
is that why you're suggesting this, is because the timing is so critical on this that we need to withdraw this one and go the other way?
And I wanna give them enough
Why
time.
don't you just say?
That would have been nice to know on the front end.
Yeah. Some,
Of
if
this
you have
conversation.
some damages since then, let's use that as well.
Why did we have appraisals done?
We not
Why?
had flood since last year either, have more.
You have that?
They were gonna do appraisals
This is for a month, right?
6 months ago. Why?
Because they didn't know they had to do a cost benefit analysis.
They didn't know.
That's right.
That's right, they didn't.
That's their business.
That's right.
All right, so let's go back.
Wait for the letters.
So, are we gonna stay the course?
Get their letter and then we'll decide. We can't stay the course, we only have 13 days.
I just wanna make sure we're clear and on the same page.
We're 7 days
And
into the
let's,
14.
and we.
We have to withdraw.
All right.
Excuse
We
me,
have to start
Doug,
over.
Douglas, can we reach out to FEMA, get a definitive date? How long do we have to get it in? I wanna make sure, and that way I can.
They said there is.
There tomorrow,
From what I
later
understand.
tomorrow, what
So,
the
we'll get through it.
time frame is,
Yeah.
and we can send it from there.
This is all.
Absolutely. We'll
Is
reach
there-
out to FEMA to tell us, that maybe we get this information, tell us how much time you definitely need. What
Is there any
happens
option
is
for extension on
everyone,
that
what they do,
deadline?
sometimes they give these time limits and you find out, well, it's a time limit, but then there's a formal, request that they send in and you got 30 more days, but how much time do you need? So yeah, let me reach out officially and ask FEMA, what do you need? And then we can get back and tell you what the definite time is.
This is Alderman Clough. One further question. There are a few of the property owners here tonight, and they've indicated to me off mic that they don't have receipts. What other form of documentation of their damages can they provide?
Pictures.
They've submitted pictures, they've submitted appraisals. Is this gonna be a waste of time, if they don't have printed
Appraisals of-
receipts?
They haven't submitted.
But that kind of,
They just did the cost benefit.
No, we use the tax card to develop the application.
Could they give bank statements or copy of their credit card bill?
I have had that, but it's,
How about we are provided with all the various specific forms of proof of damages
Yeah.
that they can do?
yeah, we'll get you that.
Thank you.
That don't make me feel a bit better. What's she gonna do with it? I
We're
mean,
gonna-
they,
Then we have something to prove that the numbers that we have, and maybe increase those numbers, hopefully if you have more, then we can go from there.
So
You
what,
have to put
what
pictures
are,
That's why there
what,
are three sections in there for you all to fill out damage history from. The more damage history you can give us, the better the numbers.
So basically what our residents have done is they filled out this form, and on this form, they basically filled in a bunch of values of what it costs them to, I guess, remediate, repair, or did they just put in what the value of their property is? And then there was nothing, once it was submitted, to say, you need to present something to prove these values?
Nothing, no. Because at that time, we were thinking they were part of the special flood hazard area, and once we got some more information.
And it
we
wouldn't-
Found out after the fact, no, they're not, they're
Okay.
not located.
So what you're saying then is if these properties were in this special designated flood hazard area,
Mhm.
you would not have needed all this
Yeah.
stuff. You wouldn't have needed all these additional documents, right?
We wouldn't need a BCA at all.
Right. So that everybody interpreted that these properties were gonna be in this special flood hazard area. And because they're not, now we gotta go back through a different process, requiring different documentation, right?
Yes.
I don't
We
think,
have to get damage history no matter what, but us they're not in a special flood hazard area, then that forces us to have to do a benefit cost analysis.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a misunderstanding that these properties were or were not in a special flood hazard area. Those maps are pretty plain to read and see. I think the confusion was that we thought it was because it was below a certain dollar threshold is why that benefits cost analysis didn't have, not where the property was located.
It's above, if I have to look at the application, because I have a statement on there that says the dollar amount and where it's located. I'll have to look and send
No,
you.
the specific rule is to use that alternate methodology is it has to be in the special flood hazard area. And for most areas, they are in a flood zone, they are in a special flood hazard area. So I guess, again, from a mitigation standpoint, and if you're, I know it's not speaking specifically on the, project y'all are talking about right now, but what's causing the flooding? I guess that, you know, it's, you wanna,
Rainfall.
that's what you wanna mitigate.
Is it runoff? Is it because the culvert's too small, or is it not draining properly? That's what we're trying to figure out. If this doesn't work, what can we do to solve the problem, to fix it? That's what that mitigation is for. How can we keep this from happening again?
Thank you very much. We hired Barge Wagner and paid them a large sum of money to do the analysis that you're speaking of. And we know exactly what it's gonna require and what its cost is gonna be for us to completely remediate any future flooding of that Dillon Pond. However, as we all know, weather patterns have changed, and we're gonna get future flooding, it's probably gonna be worse. We don't have $20 million to spend to install all the things that Barge Wagner recommended. Nobody sat here 3 years ago when y'all came to our meeting, met with all these people, I was here, nobody said to them then, oh, well, you know, the city may not qualify for this, so let's talk about how we're gonna fix Dillon Pond. Y'all presented, this was the plan, these are the documents that you need to fill out, and that's what they did. End of story.
Okay.
Excuse me, Donna, let me interrupt here. That's not correct, sir. This is Doug Gordon. I was at that first meeting, and the decision on what kind of project the city wants to do is the city's decision. It's not our decision. You don't have anything to do with it. Y'all made that decision. So you need to make the decision that's gonna help the flooding problem. That's what, you're the sub-recipient. I know you're helping your citizens, and that's wonderful. But again, you have to go with what's the best way to solve the problem. We're not engineers, we're grants people. So, we'll do and work with you however we can. But the bottom line is, what we're telling you, we're telling any other city, any other community across the state, it's not anything different. I apologize it's taking so long, it's slow. But a lot of that is not us, it's FEMA. It's, you know, we rely on them. They're the ones reviewing this, it's federal money. It's not our money, it's federal. So we help you put the application in, we send it in, they review it, and, unfortunately, if it's not in the special flood hazard area, they're gonna have to do a benefit cost, which is, we do those all the time. So you just have to show that the damage is, you know, the benefits outweigh the cost, but you gotta show that history.
Thank you, Mr. Warden.
You said you have a study, you said you all paid Barge Wagner to find out what was causing it and how it could be fixed. They did a study for you already, correct?
That's right. That's right.
You can, did they give you a recommendation on what to do?
They gave us 3 options.
Right.
Okay,
You wanna throw in some money to help pay for it?
you could possibly get a project out of that. That's what we're trying, that's why I said, if this doesn't work, how do we solve the problem to help not only these citizens, but the rest of anybody else who's experiencing issues with this? So if you already have the engineering study done, you have 3 options, what is the best course of action? And that may be something you wanna consider. We could possibly look at doing a different type of project, a flood control project as a whole.
Okay, I think right now, Donna, we're gonna wait on the letter, from, Mr. Warden or yourself, whoever writes the letter. And then it's, I think you was gonna see if there was an extension on
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
grant.
see how long, see what the timeline is it 14 or 30 days? I'm gonna push for 30-day time frame. If they'll give it to us, and I will reach out to Marcy and with a list of everything that is needed, specifically what FEMA is asking for, and we'll go from there and find out what are alternatives.
Exactly. That's
If
the
you
point.
don't have receipts, what are some alternatives that we can use to back up the numbers?
That's helpful.
Thank you.
Well, what about in the example of a property owner who happens to be here in front of us tonight, who chose not to repair their property? I mean, it was flooded. She believed that that basically it's a major loss. And, she was hoping to just take the buyout and let the program pay her for the building. She's still in that flood area, and until something's done to remediate future floods, why should she rebuild the building? So therefore, she's not gonna have receipts for repairs today, tomorrow, or next year, because she chose not to go that route. She just listed on her form what the value of that property is.
I'll
So,
have to check with that, but I never told anybody not to repair. There's one thing I preach. You take photos, every event is not gonna be declared a disaster. So anytime you have something happen, take photos, make copies of everything.
this property owner she did take photos, and she submitted the photos, but the photos are of the damage, not the repairs. So if she didn't
I
repair,
also explained if you had any type of call, anything that you put into it, if you had to make a claim, then you need to put that money right back into it. Because what they will do is they will view it as a duplication of benefits. They're not gonna pay you, if you got a claim and you didn't put the money back into your home, FEMA's gonna deduct that cost off of the purchase of the property. So, yeah, because they look at it now, you say none of these homeowners have flood insurance, so that is a good thing because they don't have to worry about that. But
Okay.
we still have to back these numbers up, but
So this
I will
one-
get all this information to Marcy, and we'll contact our federal lead tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, and then as soon as I get that information back from him, I will send it to Rebecca and Marcy.
Donna, I hate to keep talking about this, and I know everybody's
No
tired.
problem.
I know everybody's tired, and if you can help me be brief, that'd be great. But this one particular, she had a bona fide business in operation at in that building. She had to shut down her business and relocate. So the building's just sitting there in the same state that it was when it was flooded. There's no receipts. There's no repairs done. Are you saying then that she's never gonna qualify for a FEMA grant? Because if that's the case, we need to tell her that.
Or how we would work with, how we would go about that, because that is something we've never had. I've had buildings completely washed away, but if we don't have something to establish,
Well, I mean, she listed the value, what she believed the value of the property is on
I
her
know which one you're
form.
talking about, it's the yellow building, and I think it was 0 on the damage history report.
Right. So I'm just saying, we just need to be honest with her right now and say,
All I can say is let me ask.
But
There's
it's
always
not
the
only
first
her,
time
we need to be
it's
honest
there.
with her.
This is the first time. Let me ask them how they go about handling that. And if it can't be done, I'll just tell them flat out, according to what I was instructed, no, it can't be done. But at least let me ask them and see, how do you handle a property in this situation? I've been doing this 21 years and I've never had that one come up.
So you never had a building just washed away from a flood and you ended up paying for
Yeah, if
it?
it's been washed completely away from the flood, substantially
Oh,
damaged,
okay.
there's a different number when it's
Gotcha. That makes
substantially
sense.
damaged, and then when it's totally washed away,
Right.
that it works different. But with the building being damaged, it's there, I can see it is down to its stud. So, Is it a matter of getting the numbers on what it would take to repair? Would that be acceptable? I just have to ask my federal counterpart, which methodology is
Right,
best?
so Donna, realistically, this property owner would need to go in and repair the building. And then once those repairs are done and it's brought back up to its state that it was in before it was flooded, then this property owner would qualify, just like all the other properties, right?
I'm not saying for her to repair it now, I'm saying maybe get a quote. But I want to ask him which is the best methodology. They could tell us, well, okay, it's totally, that is considered, it's beyond substantially damaged. So how do we work with that? Or do you want us to do you want them to get a quote on what it would take to bring it back and go with those numbers? That's what I have to verify.
Okay, anything else? I do join, Alderman Coleman and all of us and tell you that we do apologize, for this because, I hope that you know that everyone here had the best and great intentions, for property owners and for the city of Livingston. So this is a bombshell that's kind of been dropped on all of us, okay? And, I do apologize, and hopefully we can get an extension or another route, that Tina has in office. So, again, my apologies on behalf of the city of Livingston. If there's nothing else, we will go on to the, to the other next item on the agenda. Is there anything else for us? Okay. Item number 6 is, item number 5, ordinance to update surcharge thresholds and maximum pollutant concentrations which may be discharged in the Livingston Sanitary Sewer System. Mr. Danny Langford. Come on up, Danny.
Thank you. Last couple of months, myself, MTAS, and also our engineer, we took the opportunity to visit our city ordinances as far as pertaining Chapter 2, wastewater regulations, and in this, reviewing the city ordinance, we found out that the definitions of surcharge was just, needed to be brought up today. So I'm here in front of you and asking you to, do an amendment to the Livingston Municipality Code Title 18, or Water and Sewer, Chapter 3, Industrial Commercial Wastewater Regulations, to clarify the surcharge of the discharger of high-strength wastewater. Okay. Surcharges are not violations of the sewer use ordinance or a industrial user permit. Surcharge threshold values are demanded to recover expenses for treating wastewater over the normal wastewater strength of a conventional pollution. Carbonaceous, biochemical oxygen demand, CBOD, total spending solids, oil and grease, and etc. Maximum limits protects the Livingston sewer system, and the maximum limit exceeds are violations of the Livingston Municipal Code. Industrials or other preventive faculties that exceed a maximum limit are issued a notice of violation and may be subject to further enforcement actions and may be subject to penalties. Penalties are not surcharges, and vice versa. In summary, the change is necessary to protect the Livingston sewer system that an industrial discharging a permitted surcharge does not violate the city use ordinance.
So basically, like Danny said, I'm going to sound redundant, this is something we need to do. motion made by Alderman Clough, second by Alderman Speck. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Langford.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is resolution to reapply for a home grant. Miss Amanda Maynard is here with Grassroots Consulting. Ms. Maynard?
Hello, thank you for having me. Yes, as you know, we were not funded for our THDA home application last year, so I would like for us to reapply this year. Well, I'm sorry, Mayor. I apologize. No, you were not funded for your application last year, so, we would like to reapply this year. $500,000 is our maximum limit, going for home repairs. Anyone who is homeowner occupied, meets the low income guidelines. Also, it benefits the elderly, disabled, low income families, folks of those natures. Of course, you know, we can, it's, you know, primarily used to bring homes up to code or as close to code as what we can get them. If the home is in such bad shape that it needs to be replaced, we can demolish with this program and construct a new home. And this year, it actually started last year, late in the year actually, but we actually can work on mobile homes as well. So I know we still have some mobile homes here in the city limits, so that might be something for us to look at as well.
Why did we not get our grant last year?
We just did not meet the scoring threshold, and they ran out of money before they got to us. That was the reason that I got.
Okay, so, yeah, no, Vice Mayor said we didn't submit receipts. Can you tell me what increases our chances to get it this year?
One thing I would recommend, I did speak to DHGA, and one thing they did recommend, and something the mayor and I talked about, publishing in the newspaper, that we are seeking statements of qualifications for inspectors, administrators, lead-based paint inspectors, termite inspectors, all those contractors as well, will help us add some points to the application.
So we're okay to advertise for those things even though we haven't?
Correct, yeah, yes we are, yes we are. And I was gonna say, we will submit the documentation, along with the application to prove that that was ran in the newspaper.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Dotson. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Dale. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maynard. Item number 7 is Confinement Facilities Resolution. Mr. Tommy Lee of Cumberland Development District. Come on up, Tom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. So, I guess it was in late December, the Tennessee Department of Health announced the Confinement Facilities Grant, and the purpose of this grant is to make upgrades and improvements to jails, prisons, and police stations across the state of Tennessee. We spoke with the mayor and the police chief and a couple of other, and Officer Smith, and with the police department. And the Upper Cumberland Development District applied for a grant on behalf of the town of Livingston for plexiglass partitioning in the police station, 8 pre-owned patrol cars, paving for the police station parking lot, security drop box for the police station, and overtime pay for the officers. We received word a couple of weeks ago that this grant has been awarded to the total of $329,592. This is a 100% grant with a 0 match. And so what we need at this time, if it be the will of the mayor and the board, a resolution to accept this grant.
Motion made by Alderman Rexdale, is there a second? Second by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Any discussion?
Yes. Can you please submit to me a copy of the application and what it details are?
Sure.
And what it includes, what we're gonna get. I'm all for it, but this first I've heard of it, so I just wanna see what all we're getting from it.
Yes, sir. I want to talk to that for just a minute. So, when, Mr. Lee, brought that to me, actually, Mr. Billings and Mr. Lee, it was on a very, very short time frame.
No problem.
And in the event, and there was no cost to the city.
Sure, of course.
And so,
But just for information.
yeah, absolutely, we'll get it to the entire board, absolutely. Thank you, Tony. We got a motion in a second on that. What we got? I was making some notes. All right, we got a motion in a second, on the floor. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The motion passed. Thank you. Done?
He's also item number 8.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I keep staying.
All right, ordinance to rezone, item number 8, ordinance to rezone Jason Ray property from R2 to C1, Mr. Tommy Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. At the January Planning Commission meeting, application was received by Jason Ray to rezone property located at 907 West First Street from R2 High Density Residential to C1 Local Commercial. And just for your reference, this is the property that is almost on the corner of First Street and Bradford Hicks. If you're familiar with the Daniel Elder property there that's on the corner, it is the property that is immediately to the east of that property. It is across the street, on the other side of the street from the Leroy Carr gas station. And so it is on the south side of West First Street. So Mr. Ray presented an application to rezone from R2 High Density Residential to C1 Local Commercial for the purpose of installing or establishing climate-controlled storage buildings. This is a use that is currently not allowed in the R2 High Density Residential, but is a permitted use in the C1 Local Commercial. Letters were mailed to all adjoining property owners, and we had no comments in favor of or against the proposed rezoning. And the motion and the recommendation was made by the Planning Commission unanimously to recommend that this property be rezoned from R2 to C1. Mr. Ray is here tonight in case you have questions, or I would be happy to take any that I can answer.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Kelly Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Clough. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you for pursuing this opportunity. We need climate control storage in this town.
That's right.
My sister has to rent one in Cookville right now because there are no climate controls in them.
There is one.
Well, I'm not aware. Well, I didn't know that.
Now you'll have competitive.
All right. We have a motion to second.
They'll have competitive.
All, any more discussion? All for the motion, let it know, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board.
Thank you, Tommy. It's been a long time, buddy. All right, item number 9, this is the bid 2006 International 8600 dump truck from Cottrell Truck. We did bid this out, only received one bid, $36,500 is in the budget, so. Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Second, by Chris Speck. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know, saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion passed. Item number 10 is Livingston Fire Department report. Well, it was Chief Rocky Dow, but I think it's, Mr. Crowder. I think the chief had an emergency here today.
Yeah, good evening, board, and all for Mayor Alderman. Ron couldn't be here tonight. tonight, here to report that we had 250 calls of service, not including walk-in smoke alarms during November and January of this year. Any more information you may need?
Now, is there any questions about the report? Board's had an opportunity, board's had an opportunity to look at the report. Is there any questions? No questions? Do you have anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Leave that. Item number 11, the Livingston Police Department, Chief Etheridge is under the weather tonight, so we have Captain Ray Smith with the Livingston Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor and Board Alderman. I love the transparency of the reports coming to the board, let them know what we're doing at the police department, because sometimes you don't get to see those things. They submitted the report to you in paper there, and it shows that the City of Livingston has answered 3,199 calls. And that's a mixture of several different calls together. The chief at the bottom has put a disclaimer about, that's any log-in calls, any calls come in that our dispatch makes a CAD board, and we go answer, and it could be from the smallest to the greatest thing. If you can kind of see there, the street arrest 82, citations 141, warning citations 205, accidents with injuries 1, unknown injuries 5, and then just no injuries is 86. And it says walk-ins, where people come to the police department, walk in and report any kind of items taking place, 289 calls. So forth on down there, you'll see where it shows assaults, domestic violence, DUIs, public intoxication, reckless driving, burglaries, theft of property, shoplifting, and etc. Our general investigations, we ended up with 332. I know in your packet it should show other calls for service, that you'll see several in it, that would be like 1 or 2 different things there.
Any questions for Captain Smith?
I have one question, Captain. Over on one of the pages, you report how many speeding tickets were issued.
Citations issued for speeding is 141, but we gave 205 warning citations, so a total of citations that would, of cost would be 141, and without any cost to the public, that's 205.
All right, thank you, but if you'll flip over to page 4, help me understand this. It says citation charges November 1 to January 31. So I interpret it to mean, under citations, 18, speeding 18. So that, to me, meant you've actually cited 18 speeders in 3 months. Is that not right?
That would not be correct. I would say the citations for the speeding should be more than the 18. I would say we got a typo there.
Okay, well then help me understand, how did you come up with 100 and something that you said?
That's what you wrote into the stats itself as total citations issued.
I know, but that's not for speeding, that's just
Right.
citations total. How
Oh,
many?
yes, sir, it would be in that matter of 18, that's what's got on the statute.
So there were only 18 citations
In
out of the
that amount.
141
Yes,
that are for speeding.
yes,
So that's less than 1 citation for
Yes, sir.
speeding a week. So
Yes, sir.
that's 12 weeks of period that this is reported.
correct.
I'm surprised it's not more than that.
Well, I wish
No,
I'd tell you that
we
every
did-
citation, every officer that goes out and is included, put out a citation, we try to give a warning to
I
the public
understand.
there.
No, I understand, I know we get a lot of complaints about speeding in town, I'm just surprised we are. In 3
Norm,
months, we've only issued 18. That's a,
sometimes these, and I'm solely guessing here, Ray, a lot of times, these, when you pull someone over on these speeding violations, that's where you find out about they don't have insurance or
Right.
the registration law. So some of these citations that was issued may be the result from the pullover of the citation. Is that?
Yes, sir, you could end up with the citation, or the standard stop with somebody speeding. And they may end up being insurance
Sure.
or revoked or something like that, and you would waive the one and try to help them on the other, yes, sir.
right, yeah, I understand that.
And if I'm wrong, I apologize to the
No,
board.
no, it's not, I'm not questioning your report. I I guess I'm just surprised that we've only written 18 of the citations out of 141.
That's not a lot of tickets.
No, not a lot of tickets.
Any other questions for, Captain Smith? Okay, thank you, Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item number 12 is a TML resolution. This is a resolution that I sent to you later. Is a resolution support restoring the historic revenue sharing relationship between the state of Tennessee and its local governments, and to return the local share of the single article cap to local governments. And if you see on down, 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, when confronting serious fiscal challenges in 2002, the state of Tennessee increased the state sales tax rate to 6 to 7%, and whereas the state chose not to share a portion of the sales tax revenue generated by increase from 6 to 7% with Tennessee municipalities, and whereas a result of this change of the state broke a 55-year relationship in sharing 4.6 of all sales tax revenue designated for the state general fund and municipalities. And whereas the last paragraph on the first page is, in 20 years since these provisions took effect, these two changes have combined to result in the state realizing nearly $2 billion in additional sales tax collections, $2 billion that would have benefited local taxpayers and had the historic revenue sharing relationship and article and single article cap not being altered in 2002. Simply, if this tax had been in the city of Livingston, it would have got about $61,000 in last year's budget. So Tennessee Municipal League is just wanting us to sign on, like most cities are doing across the state, just to try to get more sales tax revenue. That's what it is. Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Is there a second? Second, Alderman Rex Dale. Any discussion? All for the... Yes. Yeah. All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, motion passed. We need to send that in, Phyllis. Okay. All right. Item number 13 is the amendment to the hotel motel tax, and it's pretty simple. John Meadows is here if you have any questions, but this just was talking about a $100 fee, application fee, new fee for anyone that is got a hotel motel, and they will get their application to be a $100 fee, a $50 after that annual fee to the city of Livingston. That was not in the verbiage it was supposed to be in, but it was not. Mr. Meadows has put that in there, and it will be an amendment to the hotel motel tax. That's correct.
And that's in here.
That's in here now. Is that right, John?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. The only change that's made from the original ordinance that was passed is an
Come on
amendment.
up, John. Please, thank you.
Yeah, the only change that was made from the original ordinance that was passed is in section 4.402, which provides that there will be an initial permit fee of $100 submitted to the city upon their initial application, and that permit will expire 1 year after the date of issuance. However, it can be renewed annually upon submission of a renewal application at a $50 fee from year to year.
Thank you, Mr. Meadows. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Ken Dodson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman John Clough. Any discussion? All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. No other business with the city of Livingston tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made, Ken Dodson. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Chris Beck. All for the motion, let it know by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. We're adjourned.
The electric. I'm sorry. Is the
agenda.